After she left, I just felt so lost and I didn't know what to do. And I asked her one day, I said out loud, I just said, Finch, I wish there was a way I could help dogs with my songwriting, write songs and help dogs. I wish I could do that. And I just, went about my day. That night, you could not make this up. That night, I found Barmer. On my way home from shopping, I found this really frail, skinny, sickly looking senior dog who was lost. And she looked like she was on death's door. I had heaps of bags of shopping, but I just knew I had to help this dog. So I spent the next few hours trying to locate her owner. I couldn't find her owner. I eventually found the person she'd been staying with for 5 weeks because the owner was elderly and was in hospital. When I saw the conditions that the dog, Barmer, had been staying in, my heart just tore to pieces. It was the middle of Melbourne's winter. She didn't have a kennel. She didn't have a bed. She was on the concrete out in a backyard, exposed to all the elements. There was a bit of shelter from rain, but nothing to stop the cold. Imagine this, an 18-year-old senior treated like that. The man that was meant to be caring for her was a friend of this old man. I just couldn't believe that he was able to sit inside in his warm home and watch this dog suffer in the cold. I could not wrap my head around this because that's what he did. This dog was starved of human interaction so badly that she'd escaped 3 times in a week. Imagine an 18-year-old senior dog who is frail escaping. They must really hate their world. She was in such a poor state, her knuckles were all bloodied because she'd been left in the cold to suffer with no exercise, no warmth, so her muscles were pretty much dying. So she couldn't lift her back legs properly and they just drag and scrape, blood everywhere. I found that so hard to watch, and I knew in that moment it was a blessing that I found her, and I knew in my heart that I was going to take her. I knew it, but I knew I had to do it properly. And I promised her, and I said, Barmer, I told her that I was going to take her. And I promised her I'd come back for her. So I had to leave her there with this man that night. And I said I'd be back the next day. Leaving her that night was probably one of the hardest things I've had to do. It was another very cold night, and I just prayed that she'd survive. I was shocked that she'd survived the last 5 weeks. That night when I got home, I was so torn up with emotion, and I didn't have anywhere for that emotion to go. I was angry, I was sad, and I knew I had to let it out, because if I didn't let that emotion out, it was probably going to come out in another way that wouldn't have been productive. So I picked up my guitar and I wrote a song, and it just came out so easily. It was like my heart just poured out. And after that song was finished, I thought to myself, you know what? I'll put this song out there, and anyone that buys a song, I'm going to donate it to Barmer. And the next day I remember thinking, wow, why don't I make this a series and be a voice for dogs that are forgotten? So I started the series Story of a Lonely Dog, because Barmer looked like the loneliest dog. Just to end on a bit of a high note, I got Barmer into emergency foster. I know some great people in the rescue world. They were packed, but they helped Barmer and they got her into emergency foster care. And she was there. She lived her best life for a number of months with her foster carer until her owner was better. That's just one story. There are so many. Every dog has a story. And that is what I am here to do. I am here to tell these true stories. All of the stories in this series are true. Every dog is a real dog. Their story is a real story. So please support us. Like, comment, share. Listen to the songs, buy the official merch. This is so new right now for me. You're going to be growing with me. Please support. I just feel honored to be able to be a voice for these dogs. All right.